Welcome to your reading for today. We're going to have a go today at reading some more of Titus rules, okay? I'd like you to have a go at reading chapters 11 and 12, please. Your questions for today is, what do you think the word bewildered means? What did the Queen give to Titus as a treat to say well done? What was Sir Gregory Collimore's job? How do you think Prince Philip felt when Titus tugged on his trouser leg? And can you please summarise chapter 12? Okay, so the word bewildered means confused and puzzled. The Queen gave Titus a chocolate digestive biscuit. Sir Gregory Collimore's job was the comptroller of the Queen's household at Windsor Castle. Prince Philip felt annoyed and angry because he thought that he was just being a nuisance. He didn't realise, obviously, that he was trying to tell him something. And a quick summary of chapter 12. So Sir Gregory Collimore left his cigarette burning in his office. It rolled onto some papers and set fire to them. Titus smelt the burning paper when walking down the corridor, so tugged at Prince Philip's trouser leg to warn him. Prince Philip put out the fire with a large painting, and then he and Titus went to tell the Queen. The Queen rewarded Titus with custard creams, and she even gave one to Prince Philip. Welcome to your maths today. So we're going to explore fractions of quantities today.
Hello, and welcome to another lesson about fractions. Today we're going to look at when we think about fractions as being fractions of numbers or fractions of quantities. So here I've got my bar model, and I'm sure by now we're really confident that we know straight away that's showing a half. How about if instead of saying it was simply a half, it was a half of a number or half of a quantity? So in this case, a half of 12. We can use the bar model to help us answer that question, to help us find what half of 12 is. So let's label up our bar model. We know that the whole bar represents 12. So what is one of the two pieces going to represent? When we're asking for a half, it means we're taking 12 and we're splitting it into two equal pieces. What is one piece worth? So if we were finding a third, we'd be taking the number and splitting it into 3 equal pieces. Or a tenth, we'd be splitting the number into 10 equal pieces. I wonder whether we can see a connection with division. We'll explore that more in a few minutes. So we've got our bar model. What is one of these two pieces worth? Well, we know it's 6, don't we? And we probably know for this question, we probably know that a half of 12 is 6. That's probably a fact we know straight away. Obviously, some other questions we won't know straight away. So the answer is 6. So half of 12 is 6. Can we see the connection with 12 divided by 2? And you can see on the bar model, we've got 12 our quantity, and we've divided it into 2 equal pieces. So asking what a half of a number is the same as asking what that number divided by 2. Now, if you were given a number where you weren't confident dividing it by 2 straight away, or you needed some support with that, of course, we could use a drawing or some counters, some manipulatives, and share them into 2 pieces. Of course, if it was 12 divided by 3, so if it was a third of 12, we'd share them into 3 equal groups. So let's apply that understanding here. This time we're dealing with fifths. So let's draw out our bar model, 5 equal pieces. And we're dealing with a fifth of 15. So we're going to label our whole bar. Our whole bar shows 15. We're interested in 1/5. So we can see what we need to do with 15 is divide it by 5. Because we've got 5 equal pieces. So now we can use our times table knowledge and our division facts based on that to do 15 divided by 5. We're interested in one of the pieces is 3. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. That means every fifth is 3, but we're only interested in one of them. 15 divided by 5 is 3, so 1/5 of 15 is 3. So when we're asked for a fraction of an amount, we're dealing with division here. So when we ask for 1/5 of an amount, we're dividing by 5. A half, we're dividing by 2, and so on. But what happens if we're asked for a non-unit fraction? For example, 4/5 of 15. Well, you may think, well, the numerator's increased by 3, so our answer is going to increase by 3. So we think the answer would be 6. Let's use the bar model to see if that's correct. So the bar model is going to look very similar to when we were dealing with 1/5 of 15. Got our label of 15, and we're going to do the same division to find out what each fifth is worth, and we know from our previous question that each fifth is worth 3. We can put in 3 there. But this time we're interested in 4 of the fifths. That's what we're asked for, 4/5 of 15. So we're going to highlight 4 of them. And we can probably count up 4/5 of 15 is 12, because we've got 4 lots of 3. So we've actually done a multiplication here. We've done the division to find 1/5. We divided by 5 to find 1/5 of 15, which is 3. But then because we needed 4 of them, we took 1/5, which in this case was 3, and we multiplied it by 4, which we can see from the bar model. We've got 4 lots of 3, which we know from our times tables is 12. Let's have a look at one more together. 5/8 of 32. Let's draw our bar model. We're dealing with 8s, and we know that the total bar represents 32. So first of all, we need to find what 1/8 of 32 is. So we're going to do 32 divided by 8, which is 4. That will tell us 1/8. We can put a 4 in the first box. We can put a 4 in every box, of course, because 8/8 will be 32, and 8 times 4 is 32. So now what do you think we're going to do to find 5/8? Well, let's highlight 5 of the 8s, and we could probably count up in 4s to see that that is 20. But what's the multiplication we've done? Well, we've taken 4, which is 1/8 of 32, and we've multiplied it by 5, because we need 5/8. 4 times 5, 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. It's 20. And that's where we get the 5 from, the numerator, because we're interested in 5 of the 8s. That's what we're asked for. Over to you now to have a go at those 2 questions. So question 1 was the unit fraction, so we've just got a division to do there. 30 divided by 6, 1/6 of 30 is 5. And then question 2, well, we can still use the same bar model, but we need to divide it by 6 to get our answer of 1/6 is 5, and then 5 times 4 for 4/6 is 20. And just the same idea here, pause the video, have a go at those 2 questions. So 1/10 of 70, that's like saying 70 divided by 10, so that's going to be 7, which you can see clearly from the bar model. And then we can use that answer from question 3 for question 4, because we need to find 1/10, which we know is 7, and then we need 7 of them, so 7 lots of them, so 7 times 7, which is 49. Let's apply our knowledge of finding fractions of quantities to a problem. A PE lesson lasts 55 minutes, and the lesson is split into 5 equal time periods, and in each time period there's a different activity. I wonder whether you've had a PE lesson like that in the past. How long does each activity last? So we're dealing with fifths, 5 equal time periods, and we know that the total lesson is 55 minutes long. So the bar model shows us that we need to divide 55 by 5 different time periods. That's 11. And that's it, so that each activity lasts 11 minutes. Let's have a look at the same situation, a different question involving the same lesson structure. So Dora has a violin lesson, which means she misses 2/5 of the PE lesson. How many minutes of the PE lesson does she not miss? So let's label our bar model to show the violin lesson. So we're told she misses 2/5 of the lesson. So she's in the lesson for the rest of the time, so she's there for 3/5. So we can see 1/5 is 11 minutes, so that we need to do a multiplication here. 11 times 3 is 33. So she's in the PE lesson for 33 minutes. Pause the video, read the question carefully, and have a go. Do use a bar model to help you. Okay, so the corridor is 21 meters long and it's been divided into 7 different areas. So that's the first stage that we can see. We've got 21, and we need to divide it into 7 equal pieces. So we're dealing with sevenths. So 1/7 of 21 is 3. Okay. Year 3 create a display which is 2 meters long. Will their display fit into the learning area? So you might be tempted to say that's your answer, 3 meters. That's really important, and we need to know that, but that's not the answer, is it? That's how much Year 3 have been given, because they're given one of the learning areas, so 1/7 of the display. Their display is 2 meters long, so the answer is yes or no. Will their display fit into the learning area? Yes, it will, and there'll in fact be a meter spare. How long are 3 of the learning areas? Pause the video, use your working out from number 1 to help you. Okay, so one of the learning areas was 3 meters long, wasn't it? It was a seventh of 21. So 3 of them are 3 meters times 3, which is 9. So 9 meters. If you've got the White Rose Math worksheet for this lesson, you're now ready to have a go at the first 2 questions there. If not, you can make a start on the lesson on the BBC Bite Size website, but we've got more of the video to go, so do come back when you've had a go at those questions. So far, we've only looked at fractions of quantities where the fraction has been what we call a proper fraction. That's where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. But what we've learnt works in just the same way with an improper fraction. That's where the numerator in the fraction is larger than the denominator. And let's have a look at this question. We've dealt with fifths and 15 before at the beginning of the lesson. So there we've got our bar model. The whole is 15, and we've split it into fifths because that's the denominator, that's what we're dealing with. And the calculation we've done, of course, is 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. So 1/5 of 15 is 3, like we saw earlier. But we don't have 6/5 there, do we? We've only got 5/5 there. So to find 6/5 of 15 using a bar model, using a picture, we need to show another 5/5, and let's highlight 5 of them, and another one. So this time we're going to do 3, which is 1/5 of 15 times 6. So just like we did before, it doesn't matter that the 6, the numerator, is larger than the denominator. We do the same thing, we multiply it by the numerator. So 18 in this case. So when you're asked to find a fraction of an amount, it won't always be the case that your answer is less than the quantity you're starting with. Because when you've got an improper fraction, you'll in fact get an answer, a number more than the quantity you've started with. Let's have a look at this together. So we've got 48 and we're dealing with quarters. So we need to do 48 divided by 4 to find 1/4. So that's 4 times table knowledge. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So 1/4 of 48 is 12. But we don't need 1/4, we need 7 quarters. We've only got 4 there. So let's draw another bar model representing 48, split into 4 equal groups. So we've got our 12 again. Now we've in fact got 8 quarters shown, but we need 7 of them. So we can highlight all 4 there and 3 there. So we're going to take 12 and multiply it by 7, 84. So 7 quarters of 48 is 84. Let's have a look at this question. 14/7 of 19. Well, we've just seen when we had something of 48, we needed to take 48 and divide it by the denominator. So we were dividing it by 4, weren't we? 19 divided by 7. That's not going to be straightforward at all, is it? We're going to get remainders, then we're going to have to be multiplying whatever we get with remainders by 14. That's going to get very tricky. Let's think about the fraction we're being asked for. We're being asked for 14/7. 7/7 is 1. What's 14/7? 14/7 is 2. So what we're being asked here, and each is 19. What we're being asked here is 2 lots of 19, 2 of 19. So 2 times 19, which is 38. So it's really important that, yes, we know that method of dividing by the denominator and multiplying by the numerator, but we need to think carefully about the fractions we're asked for. Trying to do dividing by the denominator here would have led us to a lot of complications and be quite muddled. Whereas if we can reflect and think, well, I know 14/7 means 2, it then becomes fairly straightforward. 2 lots of 19, or 2 times 19, 38. There we can put our answer in. Have a go at that question, drawing a bar model. So we needed 3 halves of 50. So there's our answer. We've got 2 halves of 50 is 50, of course, and then another half, so half of 50 is 25. 25 times 3, because we needed 3 halves of them, 75. How about that one? Again, draw a bar model to help you. So 27 divided by 3 divided by the denominator is fairly straightforward because we know our 3 times table. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. So 1/3 of 27 is 9. We needed 8 of them. So we needed to take our third, 9, multiply it by 8. We get 72. So 8/3 of 27 is 72. How about this one? think back to the 14/7s that we looked at earlier. Okay, so this one, we don't need to be trying to do 23 divided by 4, and we can see that's going to be tricky because we're not going to get a whole number answer because 23 is not a multiple of 4. So here we need to think, well, 4 quarters is equal to 1. 8 quarters is equal to 2. So 12 quarters is equal to 3. So what we're actually being asked there is what's 3 lots of 23? 3 times 23, which is 69. One more have a go question for you before you go back to the worksheet or the BBC Bite Size website. Okay, so we've got a flight here from two of my favourite cities, Munich in Germany and Toronto in Canada. And the flight lasts 9 hours. A meal is served a third of the way into the flight. After how many minutes is the meal served? So we've got some hours and minutes as well involved here. So let's show our flight. Our flight is 9 hours long and we're told about thirds. So we can do 9 divided by 3 is 3, which is quite straightforward. We've got 3 lots of 3 hours. And then we know that 1 hour is 60 minutes long. So 3 hours into the flight is 180 minutes. So after how many minutes is the meal served? It's served after 180 minutes. So now it's back to the worksheet to finish it off if you have.
Okay, your questions are there for you. Pause me while you have a go and then come back when you're ready for the answers. There are the answers for you guys. Any problems, just send me an email.
Good morning, Class 3 and Class 4. We're on Wednesday, the 15th of July. And you've got Miss Cunnington again for your writing lesson. Okay, so here is an example of a newspaper article about a diamond being stolen. Now, year 4, you will have read this, I believe. I think we did it together last year, and we might have looked at it again this year. We started looking at newspapers not too long before lockdown, so I've really thought it'd be a nice opportunity for us to have another go at informing the reader through a newspaper report. Okay, so have a little look at the newspaper on the screen, try and see if you can remember it from when we last looked at it, and think about what you noticed. So straight away I notice up here we've got the newspaper name, which is the Evening Post. We have the date here, that's quite a while ago. We've got a nice picture here, and then the title isn't actually at the top of the text, it's actually right here underneath the big picture, and the title is Thieves Snatch Famous Diamond in Daylight Robbery. Then underneath it's got the author or the reporter who's reported this article. You'll notice that the text doesn't go sort of across the whole page. This is set out in columns, okay? It's in 3 columns. I've got a picture of the diamond that was taken there, and then we've got a quote here. It must have been an inside job, claims Chief Superintendent Andy Campbell. So we've got a little quote there from a police officer that's working the case. Now, this whole article, I won't read the whole thing for you, but it just tells the reader and informs the reader about the particular robbery that happened, and it gives lots of details. It's in chronological order, and it gives you a little bit of information to begin with here. So the champagne diamond, one of the world's most famous jewels, has been stolen. So using present perfect tense, has been stolen from the London home of American movie stars Jasper Stone and his wife Serena Slade. Police described this morning's theft as a bold and daring daytime robbery. Serena was to have worn the diamond at tomorrow's Royal International Film Awards ceremony at the Dorchester Hotel, where she is expected to win this year's Best Film Actress award. So it then goes on to tell you exactly what happened. You can see that we use direct speech. So here, I couldn't believe it when I heard that the diamond had been stolen, exclaimed Mr. Stone. Serena is devastated. She doesn't normally bring her jewellery on our travels, particularly the precious champagne diamond necklace. So we've got a quote there from the husband who was involved with it. And then we've got some eyewitness accounts as well later on. Now it tells you the story of what happened in chronological order, so in the order that the events happened. And so this is a good example for you for thinking, writing your own newspaper report. And it's going to be about the Queen's hero, Titus. So now there's lots of information we've got about Titus, but I want you to think about all the things that Titus has done to become the Queen's favourite and to become the Queen's hero. Now we've completed the story, you'll be able to give lots of information about the things that Titus has been up to in Windsor Castle. Now today we're just going to plan it, and we might end up writing it over 2 days because newspapers can be quite long. And I really want you to have a go at carefully, especially with the presentation of this. So your task today is just to plan the newspaper report about the Queen's hero. So over to the side here, we've got a help list to help you out. So think about what the name of your newspaper is going to be, what your story headline might be. So you might want to use alliteration there to engage your reader and make them want to carry on reading. And then I want you to plan out the main events in chronological order. So think about what's happened with the Queen's Jewels. You could write use your opportunity to write simply just about that entire thing and use what you've done this week, or you can give the readers lots of information about that that Titus has done to become the Queen's hero. Okay, it is up to you. You can challenge yourself to write about all the different things, or if you just want to focus on one thing, perhaps the robbery, then that is absolutely fine. You can write your newspaper report on that. But I want you to have fun with it. Today you're just planning it, and we'll start writing tomorrow.